So, how's it feel to be a loser? Marcus chuckled, poking a finger into his wine glass as if expecting it to tell him a better joke. Your wife's the real breadwinner in the family, isn't she? Man, that's rough. I think I'd just die if my girl made more money than me. A wave of laughter rippled around the polished mahogany table. A sea of 20 people in $1,000 suits and gleaming dress shoes. Everyone was laughing. My wife, Ava, included, everyone but me. I just cracked a smile, my gaze drifting past him to the man at the head of the table. The big boss, Howard Lynn. Balding, with eyes like slits, he gave a quizzical little nod and took a sip of his drink. Leaning forward, I pitched my voice just loud enough to cut through the dying chuckles. How does it feel, I asked, to find out that this loser happens to own 90% of your company? Silence. It wasn't just heavy. It was a physical thing. Instant. Howard's glass froze halfway to his lips. His face went a shade of pale you usually only see in chalk outlines on pavement. And right then, in that frozen moment, their entire world started to fracture. We'd met 6 years prior. Ava was a firework. Gorgeous, disarmingly clever, with a kind of intelligence that always made you feel like she was letting you have the upper hand. I was her polar opposite, methodical, quiet, built for the long game. She claimed I grounded her. I told her I admired her spark. For a while, I guess it worked. She was a sharp, ambitious shark in the marketing department at Lintech. My own career was a carefully constructed fiction, a supposed flame-out at some no-name tech firm. We made a point of not talking much about work. She kept her world separate from mine. It was cleaner, she said. Or so I believed. Then came the stories, the little drips of poison. So sorry, I was held up late today. Just a quick team drink after work. My phone died. Apologies. We all ended up at Marcus's. He's hilarious, totally charming. You'd hate him. I never pressed her on why I'd hate him. I just filed it away. The changes were subtle at first. Then they weren't. The way she stopped waiting up for me. A new perfume that clung to her clothes but never scented our bedroom. A smile that looked like it had been practiced in a mirror. One evening, I was picking her up from another late-night strategy session, watching from my car across the street. She came out laughing, her hand brushing against Marcus's arm. His hand rested on the small of her back just a beat too long. An owner's touch. She didn't pull away. Still, no screaming matches, no accusations. Just observation. See, control isn't about reacting in the moment. It's about choosing the perfect moment to strike. The final piece of the puzzle fell into place in total silence. One night she left her laptop open, an email chain with Marcus, deleted but still sitting in the trash folder. So predictable. He has no idea. Too busy with his little pet project. I'll get what we need in the divorce settlement. The house, the stock options, alimony. Just let him think he's in control. She was baiting me, trying to provoke an emotional outburst. A messy, angry husband is a gift to the opposing counsel in court. I gave her nothing. They had no clue what I was building in the shadows. I quietly folded my failed venture into a larger shell corporation, then began to bleed Lintech dry, buying up stock through a web of proxies and third-party buyers. Not a single alarm bell rang. No headlines were made, because I didn't want them to. In just 18 months, I had my 90%. They were all far too busy slapping each other on the back to notice the ground disappearing from beneath their feet. I'd been waiting for this exact evening, a glossy public corporate dinner, complete with cameras, the perfect stage to set their world on fire. Howard looked like he'd just tried to swallow a handful of broken glass. 90%? He stammered out. I gave a slow, deliberate nod. through Ardent Holdings. I'm sure you've heard of them. They've been snapping up your stock since the fourth quarter of last year. I signed the final transfer papers last Friday. Marcus's smug grin had vanished. Ava was just staring at me, blinking rapidly. I thought you were building some small app, she said, her voice thin. It wasn't fear in her eyes, not yet. Just pure, unadulterated confusion. She couldn't compute this. Oh, and the night was still young. I believe your exact words were, "Don't bore me with the details of your little project." I replied smoothly. So, I didn't? Howard's head swiveled toward her. You knew about this. It was an accusation. She shook her head, flustered. No, he never told me anything. I raised my wine glass. To silence, I proposed. Turns out, it buys things far more valuable than loyalty. I let that silence hang in the air, letting its crushing weight pull them down. Then, I stood up and slid a handsome leather-bound folder across the table to Howard. Those are backdated resignation letters for you, Marcus, and about half the people at this table. Sign them, and I'll forget to launch a full audit into your expense accounts and the flagrant misuse of company assets. He flipped it open, his eyes scanning the documents. He went even paler. These are legitimate. I turned my attention to Marcus. You like jokes, right? Here's one for you. What do you call a guy who's sleeping with the boss's wife and uses the company jet for their little getaways? His jaw clenched. That's a lie. Is it? I've got the surveillance tapes. Aspen. The hotel lobby. April 19th. You even signed for the minibar. His mouth hung open, but this time no sound came out. Finally, I turned to Ava. There'll be an envelope for you in our mailbox tomorrow morning. It contains our pre-negotiated divorce terms. Trust me, my lawyer is better than yours. She rose from her chair, her movements slow and stiff. You set me up? No, Ava, I said, looking right into her eyes. You built the cage. I just held the door open while you walked right in. One by one, they signed. Howard was gone that night. Marcus vanished off the face of the earth within a week. The board rubber-stamped my choice for interim CEO, a quiet analyst I'd trusted for years. Within a month, the stock had stabilized. Ava never contested the divorce. Our prenup had a rather nasty infidelity clause she knew all about. She walked away with her car, her designer wardrobe, and her silence. People sometimes ask if I have regrets, if it was all worth it. They don't get it. Revenge isn't a crime of passion. It's not about screaming and smashing plates. It's about clarity. It's the cold, quiet precision of a surgeon's scalpel, not the blunt force of a hammer. She wanted to bleed me slowly, in a courtroom, in the gossip columns. I chose to cauterize the wound in a single night, in a room full of their peers. Not because I needed them to see me win, but because she desperately needed an audience for her defeat. And that, right there, is how you execute something without making a mess.